It's been said that the easiest person in the world to fool is a fool. Unfortunately, far too often, the biggest fool that you and I know is the one looking right back at us in the mirror. You and I are masters of self-deception. We can lie to ourselves quicker, more efficiently than really anybody else on the planet. And it's not as though we wake up one day and decide, I'm going to tell myself a big lie today. No, it's really something that we just sort of quite naturally slip into. If we're not careful, it's something that we can slip into habitually. Some of the more common lies that we tell ourselves would be things like, I am going to get serious about losing weight and eating right, and I'm going to start next Monday. Or an addict will say to him or herself, I could quit anytime I wanted to. There's the husband working on a do-it-yourself project who glances up at his wife and says, of course I know what I'm doing. We tell ourselves those kinds of things fairly regularly. But my observation is there's one lie that we tell ourselves really more than all the others combined. And it can be summed up in 3 words: I know best. It's so easy to convince ourselves that in any given situation, we know better than anybody else, including God. We know better about the direction our life should take. We know better about what our priorities and our values should be. We know better about how to deal with the various challenges that come our way. And though it's just 3 simple words, it's no small thing, because you see, if we buy into that lie, it has eternal consequences. This is the very lie that Adam and Eve told themselves that brought about the fall of humanity, that brought death into the human experience. You know from the story that God had placed them in the garden where everything was perfect with just one stipulation. He said, you can eat from any tree of the garden, just not from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. For in the day that you do, you shall surely die. And apparently for some time, they went along with what God said. They trusted Him. They understood God had created them. He was the source of life. And in order to remain alive, they had to stay connected to Him. But then the day came with a little assistance from a serpent where they decided, I know God said this, but I think we know best. In essence, they were saying, God, you stay in your lane and we'll stay in ours. And they did the very thing that God asked them not to do. And just as God said, they died. Death became a part of the human experience. Sin became a part of the human experience. It separated us from God. It separated us from the source of life. And when an individual chooses to live their life according to that premise, that he or she knows best, they're setting up a recreation of the garden story, of the story of the fall, where we say to God, I know best. You stay in your lane. I'll take care of this down here. It's this desire to be independent. It's a sense of pride that makes us think we actually know better than God. Needless to say, the consequences are never good. The death rate is holding pretty steady at 100%. Far, far better for us to live a life that recognizes we're not self-sufficient, that we don't have all the answers, and not let pride, insecurity, other things convince us that somehow we know best. Far better for us to take a posture of humility and say to God, if necessary, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I don't know what I'm doing with any given situation. And trust Him. It boils down to a matter of trust. So I would ask you, where are you lying to yourself? What are some of the more common lies that you tell yourself? It takes a little thinking to discover those, a little careful introspection. And where, most importantly, are you saying to God, I know best? Let's move from that approach to life and move toward a posture that says, God, you know best, and step in to the abundant life that He promises as we choose to live in relationship with Him.